Take it easy and solve the school lunch problem with SPAM. S-P-A-M.
こんにちは、タイガークローラジオ。You are listening now. Back J.
You are listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Number one in vintage computer and video game entertainment. And now your host, Critical Failure.
Oh boy, you guys are listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Here we are again, you and me, sitting here in the clubhouse, getting ready to do my favorite thing, and that's listen to some chiptunes and talk about video games. I hope you guys are having a great Monday morning. This is Critical Failure. Let's dig into it. This week, I got a little bit about, of all things, Magic the Gathering, which I haven't thought about or touched in years. That has become a thing again. In addition to that, oh my gosh, let's see, a huge package from the old school NYC gamer. An enormous package from him that I opened. Haven't posted it on YouTube yet, but we're going to talk about it here on TCR. In addition to that, we got more entries for the Summer Chip 8 over at Battle of the Bits. Fine, top-tier electronic music, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to kick off that with my boy Toby Comey playing This Kid Can Fly. Alright, boys and girls, it's time for the first Vancast of the week. We're going back to Tuesday morning. It rained that day, and although it was a little gloomy on the way to work, it ended up being a good day. So let's go there now and relive the past. Oh boy, it is now Tuesday afternoon. This is the first Vancast of the week, and it's pouring rain outside. Typically when I'm driving home, I like to listen to jazz music. Something that's not super aggressive that I can listen to and helps me deal with being in traffic without getting really angry. Except for some reason, I was driving today and it just felt like it was the perfect soundtrack to Falling into Madness. So I thought we're ringing now. Okay. So I just thought I'd take that as a cue to talk about some video games instead, maybe. Last night I sat down with my Magic the Gathering card collection. Yes, I still have a collection of Magic the Gathering cards. I had been kind of bit with the bug lately, and I probably mentioned this on last week's episode, but I played Magic the Gathering with my older brother from 4th edition all the way up till I moved out of my parents' house in, I think it was like 2001. So 1995 or 96 up to 2001. And I have a good portion of that old collection left. I don't have all my old cards, but one binder filled with cards and a couple of small boxes. That's my Magic the Gathering collection. Now in about 2005 or 2006. Wait, is that right? That long ago? No, later than that. Probably closer to 2007. Sometime around there, I got into it with my wife again. We got a couple of starter decks, and we didn't really bother collecting boosters. We just had our starter decks, and we would have these long, epic, drawn-out battle after battle after battle with these unedited starter decks. So then one day my older brother comes over, and he brings along this black deck that he made based off of Pestilence. I mean, I don't want to get too hard into the nitty-gritty of the deck, because I know not everybody who listens to this is a Magic the Gathering guy. But the long and short of it is, he built a deck that I could never beat as a kid, and apparently years later he still had the same deck. And he came and he just kicked my butt and my wife's butt so hard. We would play these three-way battles, free-for-all battles, which you'd think would be stacked against him, because it's me and my wife. Clearly we're going to attack him and not each other. But no, it was like nothing. It was ridiculous. It was such a drastic beatdown that it kind of ruined our interest in Magic the Gathering. And this was like 10 years ago this happened. So I just suddenly and all at once got bit with the Magic the Gathering bug, and I sat down with my cards, and I went through them one at a time, because I know they're very old, but I also know that a lot of them are not valuable. It's not like I'm sitting on a gold mine with my old Magic the Gathering collection. My brother, on the other hand, has got some hot cards, but I flipped through it and I was like, all right, well, we'll just see if there's any real money here, and there isn't. I got one card that clocked at about $15. I think it's the most expensive card I have in my entire collection. Now, mind you, my collection spans all those years ago, right? And it sucks because a lot of the desirable sets now were sets I had a lot of. We had a lot of Ice Age cards, and those are, at least the unopened ones are a lot of money. But anyway, so I got hit with the Magic the Gathering bug all at once. So we'll see. I haven't purchased any new cards yet. It's probably going to stay that way if I can't talk my wife into playing, because without her I don't really have anybody to play with, unless I try and get my son into it. And he's 8, so I'm not quite sure if he could handle Magic the Gathering. On the other hand, he was knocking it dead with Dungeons and Dragons last summer. Last summer we were playing 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons, and even as a young guy, he was calculating modifiers and being on top of a lot of really complicated statistics crunching. Like simple math, but simple math with a large number of variables. So it was a lot of numbers to keep track of at once, and he was just on top of it like a monster. So yeah, I don't know. Magic the Gathering is a weird thing, because I feel like it was such a massive opportunity lost when it came to video games. You look at the Yu-Gi-Oh series. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh is a card game that costs objectively about 50% of what it costs to play Magic the Gathering. And Yu-Gi-Oh did such a great job with their video games in like the Game Boy Advance era and stuff like that. There's a lot of really great Yu-Gi-Oh video games. We didn't really see that with Magic the Gathering. There were a couple of games, like in the olden days. We had a PC version in 1997 on CD-ROM, and then there was a really great Dreamcast game we didn't get in America, and that was really it until Steam came out. So, A lot of opportunities lost for old Magic the Gathering video games. And a good example is something I say all the time. Look at the Pokemon trading card game on the Game Boy Color. Right? It's the Game Boy Color. Hardware-wise, they didn't have a lot to work with, but they were able to make a really great trading card game. Where on earth was the Magic the Gathering Game Boy Color game? Where on earth was it? It should have been there, in my opinion. That's Magic the Gathering. And I'm talking about Magic the Gathering now because when it comes to video games, I woke up this morning and after finally getting TCR out for last week, I played Heroes of Loot. And I know I can get zero content out of Heroes of Loot. Heroes of Loot was a game that I got. It started on the Ouya. It was an Ouya game from a company called Orange Pixel. Orange Pixel makes really good games, but they were unfortunate that they were big on the Ouya before the Ouya sunk. So now that they've got them on Steam, and they're just kind of in with the Steam indie slush library. So it's a top-down gauntlet-style game that plays like a twin-stick shooter. So nothing super original. It's just really easy to play, and it doesn't take itself too seriously. And it's just a fun little game that I'm familiar with, right? So I played Heroes of Loot this morning, and now it's pouring rain out, so I have no idea what I'm going to do. I was planning on riding my bicycle today, getting some exercise in, biking up to maybe the library or something, but if you can hear the rain, it's raining like crazy, so I'm not riding my bike anywhere. Not today. So that's about it. I was looking around on the internet and I discovered there's an old style hobby shop, like Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, that sort of hobby shop, like a card shop or game store, very close to where I live. It's not close enough to ride my bike there, but pretty close, like a 5-minute drive. I don't want to go there now in the rain, but I might just stop in and take a look around. See what kind of events they have, because that's another thing. I wonder how places like that survive now, because if I'm gonna buy Magic the Gathering cards, I'm gonna buy them online. If I'm gonna buy Dungeons and Dragons books, I'm gonna buy them online. The only thing I think a place like that can offer me is events where I can actually go and play the games with people, as opposed to trying to do some sort of weird online mumbo jumbo. But I don't know, I have to keep an open mind. Alright, the rain is so loud and so heavy right now, it's got to be affecting the sound quality. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this short. What would I be doing if I were home playing games right now? I don't know. I probably would be taking care of house chores and not playing video games. But I could go for another round of Heroes of Loot. That was a good game. Heroes of Loot is the kind of game you play in between games, looking for the next game to fill you in, really get you going. I'm still playing through the Mega Man games as well, so I'd probably go back to Mega Man, try one of the Mega Man games, give the Robot Masters and Mega Man 3 another run. Alright, I'll send you guys back to the Panzer Studios where it's nice and dry and not raining and easy to hear me. See you there. It's very dry, actually, back here in Panzer Studios. It feels good. We have it really chilly in the house right now, which feels good because it's hot outside. So I'm sitting comfortably in Panzer Studios on Friday night, getting TCR done. And we're going to head back to Battle of the Bits. This is from Galgox. Good old Galgox, who had a lot of entries into the Winter Chip this past season. And this particular track is called Sailing the Heliosphere. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. out here recording live on the road, which I've never done. Not from my van, but I'm out walking around. Just got finished with a run. So here's a little secret for you. You want to fart a lot, sit down and have dinner. Then you gotta wait probably about 30 minutes, let it settle. I mean, you don't want to throw up out here. Then after that, go for a run. I feel like a 1970s Dodge Dart with the exhaust pipe just blowing clouds behind me. Whew. But I got my run in today. So before we go back to the van, I want to throw some context your way so that this makes sense. The next bit of the van digs into this package from Old School NYC Gamer, and I don't want to say too much more than that. Let's go back to Wednesday. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Wednesday morning, it's time to do some van casting, and hey, you know what sucks? You know what I'm probably never going to do again? Getting up at 5 in the morning, opening up a really awesome package that you've been waiting on, just to have to drop everything and get dressed and go to work. Which is what I did this morning. Turned on the camera, filmed a little unboxing, opening the package from Old School NYC Gamer, who sold me some Atari games. I've been talking about this on the air. We did a little negotiation, and he sent a package with a bunch of extra stuff in it. It was great. That's great. I'm very happy with the deal we made. But I ended up with a bunch of Atari games that I had been looking forward to. I really wanted to get a copy of Pitfall 2. That was the game above all games that I wanted to get. And not only did I get Pitfall 2, but I got it in a clamshell case signed by David Crane. Which is amazing. I'm so happy with that purchase. But the problem is, I opened this package, 20 minutes ago? And now here I am on the road. All I want to do is turn around and go back and put that game in. That's all I want to do. That, and there were some other games. I was at Mountain King for the Atari. I got a hold of that. If I remember right, I believe Mountain King is one of the few Atari games that has like music in the background, but I'm not sure about that. There weren't too many. And this was a game I saw on YouTube once a while back. Gaming Palooza Empire covered it. I remember posting it on my website, tigerclawtv.com. I had a little feature because that guy's videos are cool. He does good Atari content. And now I finally got it in the mail, and I'm off to work. It's all right though, because today's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day now because of a killer acquisition just before leaving the house. So there's like no question. If I didn't have work to deal with, if I could just turn around and go home. Pitfall 2, my lord, Pitfall 2, without a question. I would. It would take everything in my power to restrain my muscles and not smash that thing into my Atari 2600, my Atari Junior, to give it its first test spin. You know what I would do? I would get out the original Pitfall, and I'd put them side by side. My original Pitfall from Maximum RD, and play it right next to Pitfall 2 from Old School NYC Gamer, and it would be Pitfall Day. Not just the games though, there was also a bunch of like Atari manuals, which is something I've never really had. Like, I'm looking forward to sitting down with Lock and Chase on the Atari with a manual in front of me to open up and go through the game modes and stuff. And you know what? That's about all I got for now. I'll send you guys back to the one place on planet Earth I want to be above all else. Panzer Studios. My goodness, how I want to just turn this car around and go back there right now. My, do I envy you guys. I'll see you there. That's it, boys and girls. All right, give me a second here. I'm a step behind. Where's my quick access folders? Yes, it's this is the part of the show where I like to thank the people who are really putting forth something extra and making sure this happens every single week. All right, this is a Patreon sponsored show, and I like to tip my hat. I like to tip the fedora, if you will, to these particular gentlemen. All right, they give of their resources, and all I can offer in return is early access to the show. This is being recorded Friday night, so I'm gonna get this up Friday for them. They get a little extra. Some extra features, probably about once a month, a little after party recordings, and I read their names off in a hall of distinguished gentlemen, and they are Hemrock, James, Sendu, Tecmo Balls, Darabka, and the Cartridge Brothers. Thank you guys so much for supporting. I really appreciate it. It makes a huge difference. All right, it's van casting time. It's Friday, and I'm fired up. You guys ready? Friday morning, and I'm driving into the office. Okay, I'm trying not to spend too much time on this topic because I know we're a video games and vintage computer podcast, but I'm going to go there because it's what happened. Magic the Gathering. Remember that? The little game with the little cardboard squares? The little cards, right? And you buy them in a pack, and then you trade them and whatnot. Went to a Magic the Gathering store, and I sold off a couple of my cards. My old cards from when I was a kid. Now, a couple of things. Number one, when you're selling direct to a brick and mortar store, you're going to take a hit. You're selling for way less than you would sell if you sold them online. Alex Swingle out there, I can feel you typing away. And you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. So let's talk about that a little bit. Yeah, I knew I was selling for less than they were worth. I could have just drawn it out, sold it online myself, probably would have made an extra $20, $30. But I sold to a brick and mortar store, and I wanted to meet the proprietor and see how these things worked, right? Because the reality was $20, $30. Okay, I could have made that much more money, but you know what? Even saying it sounds like so retarded. Like, I can't believe I didn't just sell my cards online. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, I went into this local Magic the Gathering shop, and I met the guy. He's a gentleman of size, big guy. That's fine, no problems there. Hey, how you doing? And he had a younger guy who worked with him, who was helping him out. And they looked through this old binder that I had, this old binder of cards that I've had. I put it together when I was like 13 years old, 13 or 14. I'm 34 now, so I've had this thing a long time. They pulled out a few cards, and here's the thing about Magic the Gathering, okay? All of the cards that really meant something to me as a kid are all worthless now. The cards that are worth money, apart from like the what they call the Power 9, like the really expensive cards, the cards that are worth money are none of the cards that I would have thought, right? So I was pretty comfortable letting cards go. They looked through the book, they were like, hey man, what about this one? You want to sell this one? Yeah, okay. Hey man, you want to sell this one? They picked out 3 red cards from Ice Age. I was like, if you're only going to pay me a quarter, I'm going to kind of hold on to those. Yeah, okay, no problem. But the owner of the shop just seemed irritated with the whole conversation, like from the very beginning. And it was really like the interaction, never mind the dollars and cents, the human interaction was just so overwhelmingly negative. Like, I can't believe what a difference it makes. I walked into that store with the mentality of, hey man, do you guys have an online store? Because if I'm going to buy cards online, I'd rather support my local game store. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Hey man, I know I'm going to take a hit, but it's nice to just meet the proprietor and support my local game store. I had a big local game store support mentality. And in one conversation, this guy destroyed it. He destroyed it, and it had zero to do with the money. Nothing to do with the money. All I wanted was a, hey, how you doing, man? What do you got? You got some cards? Let's see what we got. How much will you take for this? Good? Yeah? Thanks for coming in, man. That's what I wanted. Is that so hard? Look, I get it that everybody hates their job. All right? I get that. And I get it that if you open a store, that's your job. And eventually you'll start to hate it too. Just because you got to get up in the morning, you got to go to work. You don't want to be there, but you got to go. Right? I completely understand that. At least fake it. At least try and fake it. Okay? When I'm talking to somebody and I can tell they're faking it, I can tell they're like, they don't want to be talking to me, but they're muscling through it anyway. I've got no problem with that. I've got appreciation for the guy who fakes it, because he's doing the best he can. The guy who fakes it is a guy who understands the words he says and the way he says them matter. This guy was not even willing to fake it. And it made such a huge difference. And now I really don't want to go back there. Unless I'm going to some sort of like event, which to be honest, I can't see happening. I don't want to ask that guy questions. What's he going to tell me that Google can't tell me? Forget that guy. Really overwhelmingly negative experience. But he didn't ruin the game for me. That's okay. It wasn't that bad. It was a deal that I kind of lost on all sides. But that's okay. That's okay. We live, we learn. I'm going to take this experience and I'm going to use it to make smarter decisions in the future. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I walked away with money and I sold cards that never get played. And before, I kind of knew that was going to happen. Like, I was going to take the hit. It's like, the extra money, I'm okay with it going to the store because it's a local game store. So, you know. I used to play Magic the Gathering in a closed ecosystem. I never went to tournaments or anything like that. It was just me and my older brothers. So we had the expensive cards. We would just trade them with each other. But that's enough about Magic the Gathering. We're going to talk about some video games. Alright, we're going to shift gears. We're going to shift gears so hard you're going to hear the gearbox crash. You ready? Atari 2600. I was playing the games I got from old school NYC Gamer. Midnight Magic, the pinball game. Really good pinball game. The only problem is with me, when I play pinball, I want 3 balls. 3. That's the way pinball is if you actually go to a physical machine, you get 3 balls. Some of the more obscure and old pinball video games will have more than that. Midnight Magic has 5 balls before a game over. I wish I could change it, but it doesn't let me. Apart from that, really good game. Far superior to the video pinball that everybody has in the Atari. What else happened? I played Pitfall 2, which is like... It's weird because I was kind of looking forward to Pitfall 2 being just like in my Slosh cart collection, but now I got a copy that's autographed by David Crane and it has a clamshell box, so I feel like I can't keep it in my regular collection. Also, I've noticed on the Atari, cartridges that have expansion chips directly on the board, I have a harder time getting them to work. Alright? I got 2 games like that in this last load. One was Pitfall 2, right? David Crane, during his Pitfall postmortem, talked about that briefly. He said he was able to cheat when making Pitfall 2 by adding new chips, which is why you have not just background music in Pitfall 2, but dynamic background music. That game starts with a happy tune, and then when you die, the tune becomes less happy. It stays like a somber background music until you find treasure, then it gets happy again. Dynamic background music. Pitfall 2 is a really good game. It's a very advanced game, but I gotta say, playing it, sitting down and going through the adventure, it takes longer to play than the original Pitfall. It's way more detailed, but it takes longer to play, and I would say a little bit more frustrating. Good game though altogether. Let's see, what else do we get? We got Sky Jinx, complete in box. I don't know. That's another game. It's basically skiing for the Atari 2600, except going the other way. You're headed to the top of the screen instead of the bottom, and your little icon is a plane instead of a man on skis. Is what it is. Run-of-the-mill Atari Activision game. And the last game I got was Mountain King. Mountain King is a CBS Electronics game. It's a side-scrolling platformer that actually scrolls, which is rare. You know, even Pitfall doesn't really truly scroll. You have a frozen screen, and then when you get to the border, it goes to the next screen, just like Berserk does. Mountain King actually scrolls. And what I found was Mountain King and Pitfall 2, I guess because they have expansion chips on them, I have to be very careful about how they go into the Atari, because they're the ones where when I turn them on, more often than not, what I seem to get is like funny colors and then like a buzzing sound. I don't know, but it was cool. I had a fun time last night playing Atari. The house was quiet. I'd gotten off of work and my wife had the kids at the pool, and I had like an hour to myself. So I got open this cardboard box full of stuff, and I went through the games, and you know what? It was cool. It was really cool. My Atari collection is bigger than I ever thought it would be now. I've got almost every Atari game that I can think of that I wanted when I set out. The only ones I'm missing are Double Dragon, Bump and Jump, and Spy Hunter. Those are the last games that were on my get list 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, however long ago it was, when I started collecting for the Atari 2600. So what game would I play if I were back at my house? Well, I'm trying to freeze my spending so that I can save up for a better camera. So it would either be one of my Atari games that I just got, or I would begin my deep dive and dig up games that I haven't played in a long time. Or hey, maybe backlog games. What comes to mind, and you know what, to be honest, this would probably change before I got home, but I haven't played my Famicom in a while. I remember 6 months ago I was collecting Famicom carts and playing a Famiclone. I haven't played that in a while, but I got some good games doing that. I wouldn't mind playing, since I played Midnight Magic on the Atari, I wouldn't mind playing good old Famicom Pinball on my Famicom. NES Pinball, it's the same game in the States. I don't have the physical copy on the American Nintendo, so it would have to be Famicom Pinball. But that's what I would play. Either that or Rollerball on the NES. I don't know, I'm kind of feeling like pinball today. I'm feeling like pinball, but I'm saying that with the knowledge that I know that's a phase that's going to pass relatively quickly. Alright, boys and girls, I'm pulling up to my building now. I'm going to send you guys back to Panzer Studios. I got to go take my Friday at the office, hit that thing head on and work through it. I'll see you guys back there. I'm so glad to have Friday over with. And if you guys are listening to this, it's probably Monday morning. So hang in there. I'm here to tell you, this is CF from the past, from Friday, telling you that it will pass. You're going to make it through this week, guys. And in the meantime, we're going to head over to the YouTube channel. We're going to do the fail bag. Read some comments, interact with you guys. Now, whatever it is that you got to say, I'm open. I want to hear what you got, all right? Best way to do it is YouTube comments, but if it comes across my lexicon, I'll read it on the air if I can. So I got a few comments this past episode. Alex Swengel back in the saddle. Good to have you listening again, brother. He writes, at 11 minutes, those are some good excuses for Rockstar's crappy behavior. Then he puts in quotation marks, it's only $20 to get punched in the nuts. The company as a whole is dead to me. R.I.P. that $300 for that one time test when you could have easily done it in 10 minutes later. Didn't know you were going for the Olympic Games of recreational swimming. 56 minutes. I bear another video game confession. I don't like most of the level design in the Mega Man games. I like the art style. I like casual platformers. Therefore, I like Mega Man 2, 4, and 7. Every other game has a few levels that made it annoying to enjoy. I still beat them all because apparently I'm the greatest gamer of all time, but I've never gone back to them, especially in regards to that Mega Man 2 boss involving Crash Man's weapon. I never struggled with those turrets once I learned the pattern on my third attempt. And yes, I'm not excited to spend $30 on a rental. The only way I'll play it is through the PS4, and even then, it'll be gained through song and dance extremely cheaply. I saw gameplay footage of a few level completions for 9 and 10. So pissed was I, my ability to write became Yoda-like. Even if I was willing to spend the money, I don't think it's worth playing, let alone buying. One final thing in regards to compilations, you'd be shocked to see how cheap a lot of the PS1 and PS2 ROM compilations are. That $20 price wasn't a random auction. It was a guy selling several hundred lots of games for that price. Yeah, man. The $20. I've seen some good ones for just about that price. I know you can get the old Alpha collection for the PS2 for about that as well. I wonder if that's gone down now that everyone is buying the Street Fighter collection, but I somehow don't think so. But that's cool, man. There are some really great collections out there for the PS1 and PS2. Awesome systems with awesome games. I understand your frustration, sir, with the Mega Man's franchise. Mega Man's a source of great frustration. It's not an easy game. I think that's one of the reasons why people remember it so fondly, not just because of the music, but the level design. But conquering a Mega Man game is a true accomplishment. I think it is. It's one of the things that makes it memorable. But I'm right there with you. They're tough games, and there's a reason why I didn't seek out the whole series. I played 2, I played 3. We had 6 when I was younger, but I don't remember it very well, and that's really it. I don't think I'd ever even seen the introduction to Mega Man 5 until like a couple weeks ago when I got the Mega Man collection from the Steam sale. I'll probably play them more since I'm doing a deep dive to try and play more games that I already own in order to save money. But, you know, it is what it is. What's on my shelf? Writes, oh, heck. I saw QBasic in the thumbnail and I got excited. I'm expecting you to mention the Hidden Nibbles or Monkey Games. You know what? I'm working on my QBasic, dude. I got a QBasic textbook in the mail. I'm enjoying it. But there's a lot I don't know about it. I'm not an awesome programmer as it is. I just want to be able to, when I do my QBasic video, I want to be able to write something that's usable, that does a little bit more than just hello world. Not a lot more, but I want to be able to write a subroutine, okay? I want to be able to write something that takes in input from the user, has some sort of subroutine, and will output something different based on what the user says. Preferably something that has some sort of randomizer in it, but I don't know. I'm still working on it. Enjoying it, though. QBasic is a lot of fun. And the QBasic manual I got is amazing because it was written in 1994. So it's written from the point of view where it expects everyone to have an MS-DOS machine or like an MS-DOS based Windows machine. No, Windows 95 hadn't come out yet. So everyone was on Windows 3.1. Yeah, it's all, if you've got MS-DOS, you know, consider upgrading to something beyond MS-DOS 5.0. That said something like that. Like, it's good stuff. Death Adder writes, no coffee in 6 months? I always assumed you had a hot cup of demon juice in your hand. I've gone through some stints where I really love the Blue Bomber, but I don't have the new Mega Man game on my radar. Those games require me to turn up my autism to dangerously high levels, and I'm not feeling it right now. Yeah, man, let's talk about the coffee. So I stopped drinking coffee after my surgery. At the end of January, I had something called a gall attack. I had this once before. My stomach started hurting really bad. I went to the emergency room, and they didn't know what was going on, so they just kind of sent me home. They were like, take Pepto-Bismol or something like that. Then I had it again. It was the worst pain of my life. My stomach started hurting. It was like 10 o'clock at night, and it hurt really bad for about 4 hours. And I was throwing up all over the place. It was really, really terrible. So I went to the emergency room again, and considering I had already been there once before and it was the same kind of pain, they did an ultrasound and they found I had a giant gallstone. It was the size of a golf ball, they said. And when you go in for surgery, I went in for surgery and they had my gallbladder taken out. They starve you for a couple of days, or for a day. It was like a day. They hooked me up to an IV. And it was weird being hooked up to an IV because I never got hungry, even though I couldn't and didn't eat. And even though I didn't drink anything, I constantly had to pee because they were dumping fluids into my body. I went into surgery, and then I had a period of recovery. After coming out of the hospital and getting home, when I got home, there wasn't. I was able to have broth, and that was it. You'd think this would be a horrible experience, but what I got out of it was broth is really good, and I still like broth, but basically I hadn't had coffee in like 4 days, and that was just something that happened unplanned, and I wasn't having the headaches. So I said, hey man, I'm already off of it for 4 days. I'm kind of like at this get out of withdrawal headache free stage. Let's just see how long we can take it. And I went, I didn't have a cup of coffee again until Cub Scout camp this past weekend. That was the last time I had coffee. And I only had 1 cup, and it was very small. Probably like, in terms of liquid measurements, I would say probably about half a cup. Half a cup measure filled with Starbucks coffee. And it, brother, let me tell you, it was powerful. Woo! I was alert that day. Man. And now I'm just drinking hot tea. I drink a lot of tea now. Trying to take care of myself, you know what I'm saying? Trying to really do this self-improvement thing. And it's been good. It's been good. I'm worried about my heart and taking in too much caffeine. I worry that it could have a negative effect on my heart. Yeah, and Mega Man and autism for sure. Especially in your case, you seem to be enjoying Death by Daylight and all that stuff. And Death by Daylight is like such an incredibly different game than Mega Man. What's on my shelf? This is another one from him. He writes, 33 minutes and 52 seconds in. I couldn't help but think of Dancing in the Dark when you were singing your Blackfire song. Can we get a chiptunes rendition? Also, if you need any programming help, hit me up. You know what, dude? I love comparing notes with other programmers. I got a million questions based on that one sentence. First of all, what kind of like programming language, like what do you do in programming? What's your thing? Because for me, I work, I program tools that interface with an Oracle database, like in my work. So mostly PL SQL and that kind of thing. At home, I did a little C++ years ago, but I don't really remember much of it. Like I understand programming in procedural languages, so I could like pick apart some programs or get a textbook and pick it back up relatively quickly, because you know how a lot of those types of rules stay the same. But that's it. That's really it for me for programming. And I did some Java in college, but that was years ago now. You know what else I would like to do? I would like to do some stuff in, just as a hobby, some stuff in Visual Basic. One thing I've always wanted to do was have a program, write a program that does something that involves a point-and-click visual interface and yields an executable in Windows. Some sort of simple point-and-click thing with some buttons that does some nonsense. Back in the 90s, that was a really popular thing. Young kids would learn to program in Visual Basic, and they would make these tools for America Online that would dump into the America Online chat. Look up what proggies were. They were called proggies. Why they called them proggies, I have no idea. But AOL chat proggies. Good stuff. Dancing in the Dark. Yeah, that's funny. When I first read this, when you left it a couple days ago, I actually went looking for a chiptune version of Dancing in the Dark, and I found one, but it didn't sound anything like the song. Cause I like. Hang on a second, Dancing in the Dark. Let's see if I can look one up now. It's really that song. It's Bruce's voice that makes that song. You know, hey, whenever dancing in the dark. You can't do that with any sort of chip sound. Somebody tried. There's a couple here. If you look up Dancing in the Dark 8-bit, there's a couple people who gave it their best shot. But not the same in my opinion. Give me a second. I'd like to try and get a sample in there, but I don't see this working. Yeah, you know what? I'll have to slide a link or something. But it does exist. I'll give you that much. Is that it? Is that all we have in the fail bag this week? What do we got? Let me take another look. Let me take another look, boys and girls. I think it might be. You know what's funny is I spent the whole week really thinking about this Magic the Gathering thing, and now I'm at the end of the week. I'm like kind of over it. I'm ready to let it go and go back to video games and be completely consumed by video games again. But we'll see. You never know what the future holds. I never really know where my interests are going to go, which is a problem because it makes it hard to plan things financially, you know? Also, Magic the Gathering, they're saying that there's going to be a big price hike, another 2% price hike. It's $3.99 for a booster pack of that crap now. I remember when it used to be the Homelands expansion set was 99 cents. And I think it was like $1.50 or maybe $2 tops if you wanted to get like a 4th edition booster in 1995, 1996, whenever that was. But that was a long time ago, man. Sometimes it's hard for me to accept, hey, you're older now. Things cost more than they used to cost. You know? I forget, never mind the reasons why that is. Never mind how much it sucks. Never mind all the reasons why or why not. Things just cost more now than they used to cost. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. And it does suck. It sucks. I want to go back in time and with a $20 bill. Man, if I had a $20 bill in freaking 1995, right? Wow, I'm frozen in my tracks with that thought. I could go to GameStop and buy a great big box PC game for $20. It wouldn't be the newest game that came out, but I could get something. I could get some Magic the Gathering cards. I could get Magic the Gathering cards. I could get like a bunch of packs of Magic the Gathering cards. I could get an X-Men, the Uncanny X-Men comic for $1.25, and then I could stop at McDonald's on the way home on my bike and get a Big Mac meal for less than $3. That's right. $3 used to get you a small Big Mac meal. It doesn't anymore. Well, boys and girls, that's going to wrap up Tiger Claw Radio for this week. It's been quite an adventure. I feel like I'm barely hanging on sometimes, but it's been good too. I've been getting out there and making it to work, and doing what I got to do, and then when I get home, just having a great time, digging into some video games, doing my thing. And I hope you guys out there are doing the same thing. I wish you all the best, and I really am rooting for you, and that's not just a cliche. Hang in there. Make this next week the best week you can. All right? Because that's all any of us can do. I'll see you in the next one.